It is Sunday, March 16th, 2025, and on this week's edition of Sunday Sofa Time, we're talking about how hard it is to book a Viking river cruise. Welcome back to the very unofficial travel guides. Can we talk about this t-shirt? I got this a couple years ago at Ron John in Disney Springs, and I really love, can you see the artwork on the back? It's kind of like, feels like a back tattoo in a way. But one thing I don't understand are these sleeves. What is this? I don't know if I've talked about this before, but I'd either have to have like gigantic biceps in order for this to fit correctly, or I have to walk around like this all day. And who walks like this? I'm Morgan from the very unofficial travel guides. I've been making travel videos for more than 15 years of popular and not so popular tourist destinations to give you a very honest, unofficial look at what it's like to be there. And I've also written 2 fun books about my travel experiences called Getting Stitches on a Cruise Ship and Places Please. If you like to read, if you like travel, and if you like theater, you can give me a little bit of extra support by checking them out on Amazon now. Okay, if you're up to date here on the very unofficial travel guides, you know that I was recently on my 4th river cruise. I've done like 30 ocean cruises now and only 4 river cruises, so this is something I'm trying to explore a little bit more. And I feel bad because I do feel like, in a way, I've kind of been bad-mouthing Viking a lot in these videos about my recent experience on the Viva One. If you haven't seen those videos, Viva One is a European river cruise company that caters mostly to the European market and the German-speaking market, but the language on board is German and English. They do all the announcements in German and English. The website is in German and English, and they cruise all the same rivers and go to all the same places that Viking and Uniworld and Amma Waterways does, but it costs significantly less to cruise with them. And because the price is something I've been talking a lot about in these videos, and because it's been a long time since I actually looked at what they cost, I decided, all right, you know what, just to be fair, let me check what the prices for a Viking cruise actually are. And that's where all the chaos began. From my experience, I know that if you want to book an ocean cruise with like Royal Caribbean, NCL, Disney, and also if you want to book a river cruise with so many companies, you can just go to their website and within a few minutes, you have all the information you need, and you can either put in your credit card information and book the cruise literally right then on that day, or you can skip it. That's how it works for a lot of major cruise lines, but not for Viking cruise lines. And we're going to go back to my computer and I'll show you what I mean. Here we are on the VikingRiverCruises.com website. You can see here they have river cruises. They also have ocean cruises, which is something that not a lot of people talk about. And then these expedition cruises, which I think that sounds so fascinating. I would love to do something like that, but there's honestly, there's no way it's ever going to happen because it's so far outside of my price range. And I'm assuming that they're not going to contact me and offer for me to do one for free. So anyways, we are interested in the river cruises today. Just like on other popular cruise line websites, you can go here to find a cruise, choose the region, let's say the Danube, departure date, let's say later in the summer, like August, September, duration we'll look at in a second. So all this part seems like, I'm going to say normal to me, but this is where it gets a little bit different, and this is where I prefer a different strategy than what they offer here. So let's take a look at this romantic Danube. If I click on learn more here, then it gives me information about the cruise, about the sites, about where we're staying or where we would be staying for how long. And I actually did this entire itinerary on my very first river cruise. And this is a really, really interesting, fun, picturesque itinerary with some cool, small fairy tale towns and then huge metropolises like Budapest and Vienna. So worth it. I want to do this one again. Let's go to dates and pricing here. One thing that already is, I think, a little bit, I don't know a better word for it, but I'm just going to say dangerous, is they automatically are showing me the prices for 2026, even though in my mind, I'm thinking about 2025. And actually, if we scroll back in time, you can see I chose 2025 and somehow it automatically switched to 2026. That's confusing. And I wonder, how often does it happen that somebody gets all this information thinking they're booking for 2025 and then they actually booked for 2026 because it's just automatically taken 2026. So I think I could imagine that happening to me, to be honest. I'm going to click on 2025 here. Let's go to the end of the summer, like end of August here, August 30th. It says the price per person would be $2,799 and then airfare from $799. And if you've done any cruise booking or any travel booking online, you know that these prices, when it says from, usually means
it's actually going to cost more.
So what I would like to know now is exactly how much it will cost. But I can't find an actual price. I can't click through and get to the part where it shows me, all right, if you enter your credit card information now, this is what you're going to pay for the cruise. It gives me other cabin prices, like for instance, for this 8-day cruise, if you want to be in an Explorer suite, it's going to cost $10,499 per person. That's like, I don't know how many Explorer suites are on one of these ships, but let's say there's 2 Explorer suites, and if they're full, just the people in the Explorer suites are paying like more than $40,000 for this cruise, and that's just, what? If you are one of those people, I'm so happy for you. And yeah, I've made this offer before. If you want to adopt a 50-year-old kid, here I am. All right, so if we want to find out a price, we have to request a quote. That means we have to fill in this information. We have to give them our email, our telephone. Well, telephone number is optional. And then you become part of the Viking advertising mailing list, whether you book through them or not. And I know from talking and communicating with a lot of you that Viking is extremely aggressive with their advertisements, but I did it anyway. So I put in here my name. I chose for my preferred contact method, not phone anytime. I chose email. And the message that I wrote in this comment box was this. We are interested in the Danube itinerary end of the summer 2025. We would be 6 people and would like a quote for the standard cabins as well as the French balcony cabins, as we would be in different categories. Also, is it possible to book just the cruise without airfare? Our group will most likely be in Europe before the cruise begins. Thanks in advance for the info. That's the message that I sent to them. And a few days later, I got this email. I'm going to black out this person's name because I don't want them to get into any trouble because of this, but there are just some things about this that seem not optimized for me and also unnecessarily confusing. All right, so it says, hi, my name is and I'm your travel consultant here at Viking. To provide you with the best service, please answer the highlighted questions below. Personally, thank you for expressing your interest in our cruises. And it says I can just copy paste these questions into a new mail, and that's the information that he needs to give me a quote. Well, first of all, you know, I'm going to be 51 in a couple months. There are some of you out there are an older generation than I am. Some of you out there are a younger generation than I am. I don't need reading glasses, but I can tell you these questions with highlighted in yellow with white text, like I can hardly read that. And I have good eyes without reading glasses. And this is like the first contact with Viking. So if I look very closely, I can read, it says, what month and year would you like to sail? Well, I already answered that in my original inquiry. What cabin category would you like a quote on? Also answered that in my original inquiry. Are you interested in any pre or post extension opportunities? And are you using our flights? And this is where I already, as a possible customer, feel a little bit frustrated and confused because I think I already answered those questions. So did they just like forward my email to this cruise representative, and the other stuff that I took the time to write, they just skipped that. Like, I don't know what's going on here. However, I did what he asked. I copy pasted these questions into a new email. I answered them and sent them to him. And a few days later, I got this mail. Hello, just following up to your interest in sailing with Viking. When would be a good time to chat? I look forward to speaking with you soon. If you prefer, you can call me directly at, and then here's the telephone number. Viking gave me the option of how I would like to be contacted, and I said email. I always want to be contacted by email. I can read an email when I have time to read it, and I can answer an email when I have time to read it. I don't want my telephone to be ringing in the middle of the day when I might be in the middle of something else, especially if I'm in a productive phase. I just want to keep working. I feel like they've ignored 2 emails that I've sent with information and now are trying to get me on the telephone. So I replied in this way. Hello, Bubba. Something seems to be amiss here. In the original email contact directly from the Viking website, I selected that I would like to communicate through email. I also included a request for a quote for 2 different cabin types for the cruise. I also replied to your mail, copying and pasting the questions as you requested, including the related answers. You should have all the info you need now to be able to send me a quote. No, best Morgan. So I have a question for you right now. Like, does this seem like normal to you? Does this seem normal for any cruise website? And does this seem normal for Viking? To me, this process is already so, I'm going to say, extra compared to so many other cruise lines that I could imagine. I mean, obviously, I'm not really interested in booking this cruise. I understand that. And these are not huge problems that the world needs to be concerned with. But since we're talking about travel here on this channel, that's what we do. I'm just going through this process to show you what I guess it's like to book a Viking cruise. Not only are these super expensive, but you have to go through all this. So sent that mail a couple days later, and this is actually a week later now after my original inquiry, and I still don't know how much it would cost me to book this cruise. I finally get this mail, once again with these text passages with a yellow background and then white text or red text. The price for 2 guests, cruise fare $5,598 US with no airfare. And so, yeah, almost $3,000 per person. And he's only sent me a quote for the standard cabins, which are the cabins on the lowest deck with the window up at the top. He says space is extremely low and French balcony cabins are sold out for the entire month of August and September. I asked for, it could be in August, it could be in September. He chose a cruise here where there are only the lowest cabin categories available, and they still cost almost $3,000 a person, which is just so much compared to what it cost to cruise with Viva. So at least now I know that. But should it take a week to be able to book a cruise? This seems way too complicated for me. I mean, the price is the biggest factor for me. If I was really interested in cruising with Viking, then yeah, of course, I would go through this to get the information and book the cruise. But if I was kind of on the fence and maybe considering something else, honestly, I don't even know if I would have gotten this far, because in my opinion, as a consumer, I want to go to the website and get everything I need right then. And I don't want to have to go through answering the same questions multiple times just to find out if I can afford it or not. You know what I mean? Let's go back to the sofa. Yeah, so apparently if you want to book an ocean cruise or a river cruise with a bunch of other companies, you're fine doing it on your own in like 10 minutes. If you want to book with Viking, it's going to take about a week and you're going to have to answer the same questions a couple of times. I'm just looking over here because I set up my telephone on a time lapse. I'm recording a day in the life video for my channel members and my Patreon members. I just want to show you a little bit more behind the scenes of what it's like to do what I do and still have like life happening all around it. And it's going to be an interesting creative process because I don't usually make videos like this video is going to be. So make sure you check the members page or sign in or sign up to Patreon if you want to see what all this is like. I know that there is something that's a little bit missing when you have no contact with an actual person anymore. You know, not too long ago, you would go out shopping for clothes and you would talk with somebody at the store and maybe they would help you find something, or you would go to a travel agency and they would help you pick the best deal or the best package that met your needs and what you were interested in. And nowadays, we do everything from at home, and there are so many ways that our interactions with other people have been reduced. And I understand that that is not necessarily always good. But for me personally, when I'm booking travel, when I'm booking cruises, I like to just sit down, find out all the options in a short period of time, and then make my decision. Last week's vlog, I showed you how easy it is to get to the Amsterdam main station when your river cruise stops in Amsterdam. And next week's travel vlog is going to be where I showed you that we missed the ship in Rotterdam, but that we actually did it on purpose. And I'll tell you why all that happened and how we made it work and why you might also be interested in doing this too. Thank you for spending this part of your Sunday or whatever day it is you choose to watch this with me. I'm Morgan from the Very Unofficial Travel Guides. See you soon.